When We Were Soldiers hit theaters, audiences witnessed what many consider the most authentic portrayal of the Vietnam War ever captured on film. Directed by Randall Wallace, this war epic brought Hal Moore and Joe Galloway's memoir to life with unprecedented realism. But beneath the surface lies a treasure trove of hidden stories and emotional truths that most viewers never discovered. From real veterans in the cast to heartbreaking behind-the-scenes moments, this movie contains layers of authenticity that extend far beyond what appears on screen. Today, we're diving into fascinating secrets that reveal just how extraordinary this film truly is. Number 1. Hero who later died on 9/11. The cover of the original memoir featured a striking photograph of a young soldier in Vietnam, but few readers knew the tragic destiny awaiting this man. Rick Racecorla, the British-born American hero whose image graced the book, would decades later become one of the most celebrated figures of September 11. After surviving the brutal Battle of Ia Drang, Racecorla built a successful career in corporate security. On that fateful morning in 2001, he worked as head of security for Morgan Stanley in the South Tower of the World Trade Center. When disaster struck, Racecorla's military training kicked in. He methodically evacuated nearly 2,700 employees from the building, singing military songs to keep spirits up and maintain order. Racecorla was last seen heading back up the stairs to search for stragglers. His body was never recovered, but his heroic actions saved thousands of lives, proving that the warrior spirit captured in We Were Soldiers lived on long after Vietnam. Number 2. 165 miles of film shot. Creating an authentic war epic required an almost unprecedented amount of raw footage that would challenge even the most experienced editors. The production team shot nearly 165 miles of film, generating close to 150 hours of raw material that needed to be carefully crafted into a cohesive story. This massive undertaking meant that editor William Hoy faced one of the most daunting post-production challenges in war film history. Every explosion, gunshot, and emotional moment had to be meticulously selected from countless takes and angles. The sheer volume of footage reflected director Randall Wallace's commitment to capturing every nuance of the battle. Multiple cameras rolled simultaneously during combat sequences, ensuring that no moment of authentic action would be lost. This exhaustive approach ultimately allowed the filmmakers to construct the intense, visceral experience that made We Were Soldiers stand apart from other Vietnam War films. Number 3. The Book That Shamed Hollywood. Hollywood's track record with Vietnam War films had left many veterans feeling betrayed and misrepresented until one author decided to speak out. Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore was frustrated with how every major Vietnam movie seemed to get the reality of combat completely wrong, portraying soldiers as either psychopaths or victims rather than professional warriors doing their duty. Moore's memoir, co-written with journalist Joe Galloway, was specifically intended to set the record straight. The book emphasized the professionalism, courage, and brotherhood of American soldiers while avoiding the political controversies that dominated other Vietnam narratives. When Randall Wallace approached Moore about adapting the book, the veteran made it clear that authenticity would be non-negotiable. This conversation established the film's guiding principle: respect for the soldiers who fought and died, regardless of political opinions about the war itself. Number 4. The Charge That Never Happened. The film's climactic final assault makes for powerful cinema, but veterans of the actual Battle of Ia Drang knew immediately that this dramatic sequence never occurred in real life. Hollywood had added a fictional charge to provide the emotional crescendo that audiences expected from a war film. This creative liberty particularly upset Hal Moore and other survivors who had lived through the actual events. The real battle ended not with a heroic charge, but with a strategic withdrawal after both sides had suffered devastating casualties. Director Randall Wallace defended the decision as necessary for cinematic storytelling, arguing that the fictional charge represented the spirit and determination of the soldiers, even if it didn't happen exactly as shown. The controversy highlighted the eternal tension between historical accuracy and dramatic necessity that every war film must navigate. Number 5. Authors praise the film anyway. Despite the fictional elements that crept into the adaptation, both Hal Moore and Joe Galloway ultimately endorsed We Were Soldiers as the most accurate Vietnam War film ever made. Their approval carried significant weight among veteran communities who had been disappointed by previous Hollywood attempts. Moore acknowledged that, while certain scenes were dramatized for cinematic effect, the film successfully captured the essence of what happened in the Ia Drang Valley. He particularly praised the portrayal of American soldiers as competent professionals rather than the damaged stereotypes common in other Vietnam films. Galloway, who had covered the battle as a war correspondent, was impressed by how the film balanced the chaos of combat with the human stories of both soldiers and families. Both authors recognized that perfect historical accuracy was impossible, but they felt that movie honored the memory of fallen comrades while educating audiences about a forgotten battle that changed the nature of warfare in Vietnam. Number 6. 10,000 gunshots on screen. The relentless soundtrack of modern warfare required an almost obsessive attention to audio detail that most viewers never consciously notice. Sound designers painstakingly layered approximately 10,000 individual gunshot sounds throughout the film, creating one of the most authentic audio experiences in war cinema history. Each weapon system used in the Battle of Ia Drang had its own distinct acoustic signature, from the rapid chatter of M16 rifles to the thunderous roar of heavy machine guns. The sound team recorded real military weapons to ensure accuracy, then carefully positioned each shot in the audio mix to create a three-dimensional battlefield soundscape. Veterans who saw the film often commented that the sound design transported them back to Vietnam more effectively than the visual elements. This meticulous approach to audio authenticity became one of the film's most praised technical achievements, proving that great war films assault the ears as much as the eyes. Number 7. Planting Vietnam in California. Transforming the rolling hills of Fort Hunter Liggett into the dense jungle of Vietnam's Ia Drang Valley required a massive landscaping operation that few productions would attempt. The crew literally reshaped the California terrain, planting thousands of trees and removing existing vegetation to match the Southeast Asian environment where the actual battle occurred. Production designers studied photographs and consulted with veterans to ensure that every detail of the landscape felt authentic. They imported specific types of grass and foliage, then carefully positioned them to recreate the claustrophobic jungle environment that had been so crucial to the battle's outcome. The transformation was so complete that many veterans visiting the set experienced flashbacks, mistaking the California location for actual Vietnamese terrain. This extraordinary attention to environmental detail reflected the film's overall commitment to authenticity. Number 8. Uniforms dirtied day by day. Creating realistic battle wear required a level of wardrobe continuity that most productions never attempt, with costume designers tracking every piece of clothing worn by each actor throughout the filming process. Each soldier's uniform was carefully documented and artificially aged to show the accumulation of sweat, grime, and battle damage that would occur during extended combat. The wardrobe team created multiple versions of each costume, representing different stages of deterioration as the battle progressed. They studied photographs of actual soldiers to understand how clothing would realistically wear and tear under combat conditions. Veterans noticed these details immediately, praising the film for avoiding the common mistake of having soldiers look clean and fresh throughout extended battle sequences. The realistic deterioration of uniforms became another subtle element that enhanced the film's overall authenticity. Number 9. Actors survive boot camp. Hollywood stars trading luxury trailers for military training created one of the most grueling preparation experiences in film history, with Mel Gibson and the entire cast enduring what became known as celebrity boot camp. The actors underwent weeks of intensive military exercises designed to build the physical conditioning and mental toughness necessary for their roles. The training included everything from forced marches with full equipment to weapons handling and tactical maneuvers. Gibson, despite his star status, participated fully in every exercise, earning respect from both his fellow actors and the military advisors supervising the program. This shared ordeal created authentic bonds between the cast members that translated directly onto screen. The exhaustion, camaraderie, and mutual respect developed during boot camp gave the film's brotherhood scenes a genuine emotional foundation that couldn't be faked through acting alone. Number 10. Sam Elliott became Sergeant Plumley. Director Randall Wallace reportedly declared that only one actor in Hollywood could properly portray the legendary Sergeant Major Plumley, and he was determined to get Sam Elliott regardless of schedule conflicts. Elliott's naturally commanding presence and distinctive voice made him the perfect choice for the tough-as-nails career soldier who became a legend among the troops. Elliott immersed himself completely in the role, studying Plumlee's mannerisms and adopting his no-nonsense approach to military discipline. He paid attention to tiny, authentic details, from the way Plumlee carried himself to his specific speech patterns and regional accent. The real Sergeant Major Plumlee consulted on the film and was reportedly amazed by Elliott's portrayal, noting that the actor had captured not just his appearance but his entire philosophy of leadership. Elliott's performance became one of the film's standout elements, with many viewers citing his scenes as the most memorable moments in We Were Soldiers. Number 11. Barry Pepper lived as Galloway. Method acting reached extraordinary levels when Barry Pepper decided to completely embody war correspondent Joe Galloway, adopting every personal habit and quirk of the real-life journalist. Pepper didn't just study Galloway's mannerisms. He smoked the same brand of cigarettes, carried the same heavy books, and even wore an identical revolver that Galloway had carried during the battle. The actor spent countless hours with Galloway himself, learning not just how he moved and spoke, but how he thought and approached dangerous situations. Pepper's commitment extended to mimicking Galloway's note-taking style and his particular way of observing combat while staying focused on his journalistic mission. Galloway was reportedly stunned by the transformation, saying that watching Pepper was like looking in a mirror from 1965. This level of dedication impressed not only the real correspondent, but also veterans who had served alongside Galloway. Number 12. Madeleine Stowe met Julia Moore. Capturing the strength of military wives required more than just acting talent, so Madeleine Stowe spent extensive time studying Julia Moore, the real wife of Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore. Stowe wanted to understand how military spouses maintain their composure while facing the constant fear of losing their husbands in combat. The actress was particularly impressed by Julia's quiet resilience and her ability to support other wives while dealing with her own anxieties. Stowe learned how Julia had organized the other wives, creating a support network that helped families cope with the uncertainty of war. This research helped Stowe portray not just one woman's experience, but the collective strength of all military families waiting at home. Her performance honored the often overlooked sacrifice of families who serve their country by supporting those who fight. Number 13. Real veterans played the enemy. Authenticity took an unexpected turn when several Vietnamese extras revealed they had actually fought for the North Vietnamese army during the real battle decades earlier. These former enemy soldiers brought first-hand knowledge of combat tactics and battlefield behavior that no amount of research could replicate. Their presence on set created initially tense but ultimately respectful interactions with American veterans who also appeared in the film. The former adversaries found themselves working together to ensure that both sides of the conflict were portrayed with dignity and accuracy. This unique casting decision gave battle scenes an authenticity that extended beyond props and costumes. The real veterans, both American and Vietnamese, helped younger actors understand the intensity and chaos of combat. Number 14. Georgia and Vietnam in California. Creating two distinct worlds required careful location management, with the battle sequences filmed entirely in California, while family scenes were shot at the real Fort Benning in Georgia. This geographical split allowed the production to maintain authenticity for both the combat and domestic portions of the story. The Georgia locations provided genuine military housing and facilities that couldn't be replicated on a Hollywood soundstage. Real military families still lived in the same type of quarters shown in the film, giving the domestic scenes an authentic backdrop that enhanced the emotional impact. This dual location approach meant the cast and crew experienced both the intensity of creating combat scenes and the quieter emotional moments of military family life. The contrast helped everyone involved understand how war affects not just soldiers, but entire communities built around military service. Number 15. Casting lookalikes for soldiers. Physical resemblance became a crucial casting criterion, with many actors chosen specifically because they looked like the real soldiers who fought and died in the Ia Drang Valley. This attention to visual accuracy helped create an emotional connection between the film and the actual historical events. Casting directors worked with photographs and descriptions provided by veterans to find actors who could believably portray specific individuals. The goal was to honor fallen soldiers by ensuring their on-screen representations were as close to reality as possible. Veterans who attended screenings were often moved to see actors who reminded them of lost friends and comrades. This visual authenticity added another layer of respect to the film's portrayal, helping survivors feel that their fallen brothers were being properly remembered. Number 16. Shooting the story in order. Chronological filming became a crucial creative decision that allowed emotions to build naturally throughout the production process. Rather than shooting scenes out of sequence as most films do, parts of We Were Soldiers were filmed in the order that events actually unfolded during the battle. This approach meant that actors could experience the psychological progression of their characters, from the initial optimism of deployment through the growing exhaustion and trauma of extended combat. The cast didn't have to artificially recreate emotional states. They lived through them as filming progressed. Director Randall Wallace believed this method would create more authentic performances, and many actors later credited the chronological approach with helping them understand their characters' journeys. The natural emotional progression became particularly evident in scenes showing the psychological toll of battle on individual soldiers. Number 17. A war movie nod to Catch-22. Literary influences extended beyond the source material when a deleted scene referenced the surreal anti-war novel Catch-22, creating a brief moment of dark humor amidst the film's serious tone. The scene would have shown soldiers discussing the absurdities of military bureaucracy in a way that echoed Joseph Heller's famous work. However, the reference was ultimately cut during editing because it clashed with the film's overall respectful approach to military service. While Catch-22 portrayed war as inherently absurd, We Were Soldiers aimed to honor the professionalism and dedication of the soldiers involved. The deleted scenes removal reflected the filmmaker's commitment to maintaining a consistent tone that respected veterans' experiences. Including the Catch-22 reference might have undermined the film's central message about the honor and sacrifice of military service. Number 18. Mel Gibson's battle helmet. Attention to detail reached extraordinary levels when Mel Gibson wore an exact replica of Hal Moore's actual combat helmet, complete with authentic scuffs, dents, and insignia from the real battle. The production team had studied photographs and consulted with Moore himself to ensure every marking was historically accurate. Veterans who saw the film immediately noticed this authentic touch, with many commenting that seeing the familiar helmet design transported them back to their own combat experiences. The helmet's weathered appearance told its own story of the dangers Moore had faced as a combat commander. This level of prop authenticity extended throughout the film, with weapons, equipment, and uniforms all carefully researched and replicated. Gibson's commitment to wearing the exact helmet replica demonstrated the production's dedication to honoring the real people behind the story. Number 19. Death notices by taxi drivers. The film's heartbreaking telegram delivery scenes accurately depicted one of the war's most tragic realities: families learning of their loved ones' deaths from complete strangers appearing at their doors. Military families during Vietnam often received the devastating news through telegram deliveries by civilian taxi drivers or postal workers. These scenes were among the most emotionally challenging to film, with actresses portraying military wives drawing on their research into how families actually experience these moments. The production team consulted with real military wives who had received such notifications. The accuracy of these scenes resonated powerfully with military families who had lived through similar experiences. Many veterans' widows praised the film for showing the home front reality that often gets overlooked in war movies, focused primarily on combat action. Number 20. Giving the enemy a human face. Breaking with Hollywood convention, the film showed North Vietnamese soldiers speaking their own language, writing letters to families, and displaying the same human emotions as their American counterparts. This approach challenged the typical portrayal of enemy forces as faceless, inhuman adversaries. Vietnamese dialogue was carefully researched and accurately translated, with native speakers ensuring authenticity in both language and cultural context. The enemy soldiers were shown as professional warriors fighting for their own beliefs, rather than as stereotypical villains. This humanizing approach reflected the real veterans' respect for their former adversaries' fighting ability and dedication. Many American survivors of Ia Drang had come to appreciate the skill and courage of the North Vietnamese forces they had fought against. Number 21. Hal Moore walked out. The film's premiere became an emotionally charged event when Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore abruptly left the theater during the fictional final charge sequence that never actually occurred. This painful moment highlighted the tension between Hollywood storytelling and historical accuracy that had troubled Moore throughout the production process. Moore's departure wasn't just about factual disagreement, it represented the deep emotional impact of seeing a dramatized version of events where real friends had died. The fictional charge felt like a betrayal of the actual soldiers who had fought and fallen in the Ia Drang Valley. The incident underscored the challenge facing any war film, balancing the need for dramatic conclusion with respect for historical truth. Moore's walkout became a powerful reminder that for veterans, these weren't just movie scenes, but sacred memories of fallen comrades. Number 22, the song that haunts the film. Musical authenticity reached its peak with the haunting Scottish lament, Sergeant Mackenzie, which was re-recorded with a full choir at the legendary Abbey Road Studios in London. The song's mournful melody became one of the film's most emotionally powerful elements, perfectly capturing the grief of families mourning fallen soldiers. The choice of a Scottish lament reflected the military tradition of honoring the dead with bagpipe music, connecting Vietnam casualties to centuries of warrior culture. The Abbey Road recording gave the piece a depth and richness that enhanced its emotional impact throughout the film. Veterans and families often cite this musical element as the moment that moved them to tears, with the song's combination of honor and sorrow perfectly expressing the complex emotions surrounding military loss. The haunting melody became inseparable from the film's legacy. Number 23, a battle without a clear winner. Historical complexity emerged as the film addressed the reality that the Battle of Ia Drang wasn't the decisive American victory that many audiences expected from Hollywood war films. Both sides suffered devastating casualties and claimed success, with each drawing different lessons that would shape future strategies. The Americans proved that helicopter mobility could bring superior firepower to bear quickly, while the North Vietnamese learned valuable lessons about fighting technologically superior forces. Neither side achieved their complete objectives, making the battle's outcome ambiguous rather than triumphant. This historical honesty set We Were Soldiers apart from war films that portrayed clear-cut victories. The film's acknowledgement of war's complexity helped audiences understand that real battles rarely end with decisive winners and losers. Number 24, Germany renamed it. International marketing revealed cultural differences in how war films are perceived, when the German release changed the title from We Were Soldiers to We Were Heroes. This subtle shift altered the film's entire emotional framework for European audiences with different historical perspectives on military service. The word soldiers carries professional, duty-bound connotations, while heroes suggests exceptional bravery and sacrifice. German distributors apparently felt that European audiences would better connect with the heroic framing rather than the military professional angle. This title change demonstrated how the same film could carry different meanings across cultures, with each society interpreting military service through its own historical lens. The renamed version emphasized individual courage over institutional duty. Number 25, real soldiers in the cast. The ultimate tribute came when several actual veterans appeared as extras throughout the film, quietly standing alongside actors who were portraying their younger selves and fallen comrades. These real warriors brought an authenticity that no amount of acting could replicate. Their presence on set provided younger actors with living examples of the men they were portraying, offering insights into military bearing, combat experience, and the brotherhood forged in battle. The veterans served as both technical advisors and emotional anchors for the production. This quiet inclusion represented the film's deepest respect for the real participants in the battle. Having actual survivors appear in the movie created a bridge between Hollywood storytelling and historical reality, honoring those who had lived through the events being dramatized. We Were Soldiers stands as both a remarkable cinematic achievement and an ongoing historical debate. The film's creators pursued authenticity with unprecedented dedication, while its actors embraced grueling preparation that forged genuine bonds of brotherhood. Yet, dramatic storytelling inevitably shaped historical reality, creating moments that moved veterans to tears and others that prompted walkouts. This balance between truth and fiction reflects the eternal challenge of translating real experiences into compelling cinema. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more untold stories from film history. Which of these secrets surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments.